Lydia, you can tilt your camera a little bit. How are you though? You're mute, I can't hear you.
Do what? Sorry?
You tilt your camera a little bit. Yeah, just like that.
Okay.
Now that's better.
Okay, thanks.
Right.
Good evening.
Evening.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much.
All right, I think we're going to use the same procedures like the one we used yesterday.
Which is?
Yeah, I will play the music for
Yes.
5 minutes into the session. Then once I play, that's a signal for you to start the session.
Okay. No worries. Just notify
Then
me. I'm here.
I'll keep both your cameras, you and Miriam, on. So I'm going to spotlight both the cameras.
Okay.
Right.
So I have to close my blinds. We don't have power here.
It's okay.
We don't have power here, so I still need daylight.
It's okay. That light is perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Plug in my earphones. Hello. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a warm welcome to you all. Thank you very much for creating the time to be here this evening. Thank you very much to Uganda Institute of Bankers for organizing this. Thank you, everybody who has chosen to spend your evening with us. Don't take it for granted. This is yet another session in our series of webinars to mark the Banking and Financial Services Awareness Month, which we started on 31st October with the World Savings Day. We are running a 4-month campaign, and our slogan is My Steps, My Wealth. And we are reiterating the message that you need to start saving, you need to be consistent, you need to allow your savings to grow, and then you'll be able to finish strong. This week, since Monday, we have been running a series of webinars about 2 pillars of savings. One under insurance and the second under retirement. And this evening, we are addressing the retirement pillar. Those that have been following since the start of the week, I believe you have been enriched by the wealth of knowledge that our speakers have shared throughout the week. So today, under the pillar of retirement, we are blessed to have Mrs. Miriam Osali. She will be speaking to us about building confidence in our investments and for purposes of retirement. We are looking at retirement investing and how do we build our confidence. That's going to be Miriam's address to us. But allow me to introduce to you Miriam. She is the Director, Legal Services at the Capital Markets Authority, CMA. And she's been there quite a while. She went out, returned. And apart from that, she's an advocate of the High Court of Uganda with local and regional experience. And as I said, she recently just rejoined CMA after a period away and working on other things. But Miriam, as you sense from her talk, is a results-oriented person, very decisive, proven success, those who know her, in development and implementation of corporate strategy. She has she's been a key player in many of the service providers around financial services, but purposely under retirement, she acted as Managing Director and Chief of Operations Officers, Alexander Forbes, Financial Services Uganda, which now has been renamed Zamara. And she was also Director of Market Supervision at the Capital Markets Authority, where she gained a wealth of experience over a period spanning 10 years. So she is an expert in matters of legal, regulatory, and compliance. We're happy to have Miriam, and I welcome her very much to this session, and we're looking forward to hearing from her, and above all, learning from her wealth of experience. Let me also take the opportunity to invite you to always visit our web portal, www.yourmoneycan.or.ug, where you'll find a wealth of information about saving, about this campaign, My Steps, My Wealth. There's a lot of information that you can find there. Please, when you have some time, visit. And just to remind you also, this campaign is being brought to you by Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Services and the Uganda Bankers Association in partnership with Bank of Uganda. We really appreciate their leadership on this campaign. There's a series of free webinars, as I already mentioned, and we just talk money, different pillars of money. So we would like also to thank our sponsors, Housing Finance Bank, Equity Bank, Finance Trust Bank, DFCU Bank, Citibank, KCB, Financial Intelligence Authority, Absa Bank, Mercantile Credit Bank, Exim Bank, Finca Uganda, NCBA Bank, Yuga Ford Microfinance, BRAC Bank Limited, Uganda Limited, Bank of Africa, Diamond Trust Bank, ABC Capital Bank, Bank of Baroda, Tropical Bank, and Cairo Bank, Uganda. Those are our sponsors for this series and for this campaign. We really appreciate, and many other stakeholders involved in this, including Capital Markets Authority, as I've already introduced our speaker, CFA East Africa, Uganda Retirements Regulatory Authority, UMRA, and Uganda Insurers Association. These are all collaborating with the Institute of Bankers and the Bankers Association and Bank of Uganda to bring us these series of webinars. So I welcome you, I thank our sponsors, and I look forward not only to Miriam's keynote, but also to your contributions and active participation. Feel free as we go along to drop your question in the chat or to raise your hand when the time for the Q&A comes. It's going to be a very simple program. We'll have our speaker address us, and then we'll open it up for discussion. We give more time to the discussion because that debate, that discussion enriches our experiences and our learning. So once again, I welcome you most sincerely, and I wish you a very enriching experience. Without further ado, I would like now to invite our speaker, Miriam. Miriam, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lydia. I'm very happy to be here. I am grateful to the Uganda Retirement Benefits Authority, to the Institute of Bankers, and to the Central Bank for putting this together, because I believe that it will definitely add value to the debate on retirement. And I can see you've launched a poll, so it will be very interesting to see the results of this poll. I encourage all the participants to get into the poll so that we can really have an understanding and see how can we help you? How can we build your confidence when it comes to investing for your retirement? So let's go ahead and deal with that poll right now. So our topic today is really on investing for retirement, and retirement will come. I remember a time I was reading an article that was written by a friend of mine called Fiona Stewart. Fiona wrote an article and she was saying that in Africa, pension seems so far off. People are like, why don't you deal with things like malaria and hunger? And then she made a very interesting comment in her article. She said, Africa too will age. So I'm so glad you're here because you too will age. And the best thing that you can do is equip yourself with knowledge on retirement so that you know what you need to do. So I'll start off this session by asking you if you can go to the chat it's very important for us to be intentional when we come for webinars like this. It's not just passing time because you got the link to this webinar. No, that's not the purpose. It's important for us to think about what is your intention? What do you intend to do to get the most out of this session? Why are you here? A friend may have invited you, but why are you here? What is your intention? I'm sure Lydia would like to see your intention in the chat, so write it down. My intention today is to make sure that I give you the insights that will enable you to invest when it comes to your retirement income. And it comes at a very interesting time when midterm access has been approved by Parliament. So there are people I know who are on this call who are, you know, they just can't wait. They just can't wait for their money. You need to invest it wisely. And you made a very good choice to be here. We want to equip you so that when you get this income that you've been putting away, or if you've not been putting it away, you can actually start that process of putting it away. So I'll just start by talking about what retirement is. What is retirement? This thing called retirement. People say, Africans do not retire. You know, we work until we drop. And that's a lie. That's a lie. Retirement is that withdrawal from active working life. You reach a point where you're not able to be as active as you were at age 40, at age 20, and you begin to withdraw from that active working life. That is what retirement is. With that withdrawal from active working life, your income also takes a hit because most of our income is derived from the work that we are able to do. So when we talk about retirement, it's that period. So there are two keywords here. We have retirement, which I have just described, withdraw from the active working life. And then we have a word called investment. Investment. So what is investment? Investment is something that is purchased with the intent to resell it at a higher price. This definition of investment is very, very important because if you purchase something with the intent to resell it at a higher price, that is an investment. So I want to just ask you, think about this picture. Is that an investment or a purchase? Can you put it for me in the chat? Investment or purchase? Look at that. Bought so that it can be resold at a higher price. Daisy says it's a purchase. Andrew says it's a purchase. I'm glad you're saying it's a purchase. How about this one? Let's try this one. Aha. All right. What is this? Think about it as your home. You know, a lot of people get their retirement income. And what do? They buy a home, okay? And everyone is saying, yes, that is an investment. It's not a purchase. But Millie is right. If you're reading the chat, Millie says it depends. A house can be a purchase if you live in it. The first time I understood that, I felt so sad. I felt so sad because I always thought our house is an investment. Of course we have invested, but we live in it. We've been living in it for the last 4 years. So think about this definition of investment. Investment is something that you purchase with the intent to resell. Now, if you're not going to resell your car and you're not going to resell your house, ladies and gentlemen, that is not an investment. But if you buy your house and you know, there are people who buy a house, fix it up, and they resell it at a higher price. Bravo, that is an investment. So we must think about investment in terms of the value add at the end of the day. And we must think about What am I going to get the yield from this investment? So today we are going to look at some principles. Principles, if you follow a principle, it will give you confidence when it comes to retirement. Principles are timeless. And when it comes to retirement, we need to look at some of these principles. One of the principles that I really like is by Ron Blue. He wrote a book called Master Your Money. Ron Blue says, the best investment for you as an investor depends on your personal long-term goals. He says it depends on your personal long-term goals and the strategy to accomplish those goals. Then any potential investment is evaluated as part of your investment strategy, instead of assuming that every good investment is for everybody. So principle number one, you need to set goals. You have to set goals. Isn't it how amazing how we are so active in setting goals for the organization? Yes, you know where the organization is going. You know the 2024 agenda for Finca. You know it so well. 2024 agenda for Citibank. You know it so well. But how about your life? Have you thought about your goals? Some of the goals that, you know, I would expect that you have is with regard to how much you will need when it comes to retirement. That is a number. And I'm going to show you very quickly how to calculate that number. If you're going to set goals for retirement, you are going to know how much you need for retirement. Look at this couple, stressed out because of money. Imagine them in retirement. If you don't plan for retirement, you will not have enough. And if you do not have enough even to live off of, how do you expect to be able to invest? So we need to first identify what we call the retirement gap. How much money are you actually going to need when it comes to retirement? Okay? And how do you calculate that? Very simple. Estimate your annual living expenses. Now, some of you don't even know your annual living expense today. That is a very sign of very low financial literacy. If you cannot tell me what it costs you and your family to live, there's a problem. There's a problem. So first, we want to know what's our annual living expense. So think 30 years from today. If your annual living expense is maybe 100,000, 100 million shillings a year, calculate 80% of it. That's 800 million. Now, sometimes you find that people over-exaggerate retirement. All of a sudden, they think everything is going to shrink. But guess what? For some people, it gets worse in terms of expenditure because of the healthcare. Today, healthcare is being taken over by the employer. The individual is not feeling the pinch if you're employed, especially if you're here in the Bankers Association. But when you retire, you need to exaggerate the expense when it comes to healthcare. So we have our annual living expense. We calculate 80% of it, and we multiply it by the number of years you expect to live. So research shows that most people will live for at least 20 years after retirement. But there's what we call longevity risk. The risk that you will live longer than your money. Happy 100th birthday. Happy birthday, it's 100 years. Imagine someone who retired at age 55 from a bank. and lives up to age 100, 45 years. Did they expect to live that long? Right now, because of advances in medical science, people are actually reaching 100 years. In fact, there's a research I saw, this was based on another country, but they were saying 1 in 10 people will reach 100. 1 in 10 people will reach 100. So think about the people you know who their great-grandmother is still alive. Great-grandmother is still alive. Grandmother is still alive. My husband's grandmother died at 100 years of age. So estimate your annual living expenses, calculate 80%, multiply by the number of years you expect to live, then add up how much income you expect to receive in retirement. This can be from your Provident Fund, it can be from the NSSF, it can be from investments you've put up. And then look and see, if your retirement income exceeds the expenses, you have enough. I better clap for you, well done. But if your retirement income does not exceed the expenses, you have a deficit. So if you have a deficit and you understand the gap, what do? You save more towards retirement. That's why we have voluntary pensions. So there are schemes that offer voluntary pensions, and you can get that information from the Retirement Benefits Authority. They can give you more information. Save more towards retirement. The other thing you can do is work longer. Instead of retiring at 55, maybe you're able to get an extension of contract. So first we have to understand, how much money do I really have to invest when it comes to retirement? I like this study. This is a study that was done by Transamerica Center for Retirement Studies. And they were looking at 8 things we fear about retirement, okay? So these were workers age 50 and older, and they say these are their greatest fears. Fear number 1, I'm going to outlive my saving and investment. This is what I was talking about earlier. It's called longevity risk. The risk that you're going to live longer than your money. That's the number 1 fear, 43%. Most people are afraid that they will live longer than the money they have saved. In Uganda, look at the statistics that NSSF has. Within 2 years, most people have finished it. Now imagine with midterm access. People are going to, first of all, get the midterm, finish that one, and then they will have hardly anything. So they are likely to be poor when it comes to their old age. What a terrible thing. What a terrible thing. So remember, principle 1, we want to set our retirement goals. Principle 2, we want to set our investment goals. Now, Ron Blue says you have to develop and understand your investment strategy. And that comes from setting goals. As you set goals, it's important for you to understand what we call the life cycle. When you're doing investments, you need to bear in mind the life cycle. A person investing at age 20 is in what we call the accumulation phase, and I'll explain that further. A person who is saving and investing at age 55 to 60 is in what I call the preservation phase. It's a different investment strategy. The person who is looking at investments because they are 80 or 70 years is in what we call decumulation or distribution phase. So which phase are you? In the chat, can you again just show me which phase you're in? Are you in phase 1, which is accumulation? It means you're maybe between 20 to 50. In the accumulation phase, you're paying off debt, you're accumulating investments, material possessions to meet your long-term goals. That's the accumulation phase. And what you do in that phase is going to affect the other phases. The preservation phase, you've accumulated, you're now near retirement. Your whole aim is to preserve the assets that you have accumulated from uncertainties. That could be stock market decline, inflation, longevity. So there's a bit of hedging. And then we have the last phase, distribution phase. Can I see very quickly in the chat, which phase are you in? Shiba is saying children are an investment. That is changing. That is changing. So Shiba says for her, she's in the accumulation phase. Thank you very much, Shiba. Can we see which other phases are we looking at from our audience? Which phase are you in? Phase 1, accumulation. Phase 2, you are accumulating. So we have a lot of people who are accumulating. That's good. Millie, preservation. Albert, thank you, Albert. Mid-accumulation phase. So we are sort of getting out of accumulating. So how are you going to invest during those stages? You have to have an awareness of where you're at. And once you have that awareness, you'll be able to invest. So one, you understand where you are. I'm here. I'm in accumulation phase, age 30. I'm highly indebted. I have a mortgage which I'm paying for 30 years. I have borrowed money from money lenders, etc. There are people in that situation, and you're here. Today, you're going to turn, shift, have a mindset shift. I remember a time I was doing a session like this for a bank, and a gentleman came to me afterwards, and even me, I felt defeated. I wanted to first sit down and cry. This guy was hardly 30, okay? He had borrowed money from money lenders. He had borrowed money from friends. He had borrowed money from the bank. He was issuing bouncing checks. And people used to wait for him outside the bank to arrest him. And he came and he said, now, Miriam, these things of financial literacy, can it really work for someone like me? And for a moment, even me, I felt so sad. And he had been given an ultimatum that if something doesn't change, he was going to be fired because the bank felt he was an embarrassment to the banking profession. So the young man was at a point where do or die. He had to fix his financial situation. The good thing is after some, 4 or 5 months, he had a plan and he started paying off. But you need to know where you are. You're age 50. You've just moved to a new bank because bankers rotate, okay? You've moved to a new bank. You've taken a mortgage for 30 years. Retirement age in the bank is 55 years. You're going to pay a mortgage using what income? So I think everyone should breathe. The good thing you're at home, you drink some water also. Understand. Take a good look in the mirror. This is where I am. At the end of the year, my expenses exceed my income. Yes, you're there. You're there. You're there. So what does it mean for your strategy on investments and the technique that you're using? Why do you want to invest? Ask yourself, provoke yourself. Why do I want to invest? Am I investing to replace lost income in retirement? Am I investing to care for my family? You know how they say one for the road? So you work in a bank, you're age 50. All your children are in university, but you have the little one. At age 70, that little one is going to be in university. So why are you investing? You're investing to pay for university education for your child. That is why you're investing. So you have to bear that in mind as you look for your investment strategy. I'm caring for my family, I'm the only educated one in my family. So all the people in my family in the village, I take care of them. So why are you investing? You need to know that. And how much will I invest from my retirement income? Even that one you need to know. So if you want to know how much you're going to invest from your retirement income, first you have to understand the withdrawal options at retirement. We have what we call lump sum, or we can have what we now call income drawdown. So I'll use NSSF as an example. If you have saved 300 million and you want to withdraw it from NSSF, they now have the option for you to draw in phases. So that is income drawdown, okay? Now, let me tell you, money is sweet. Why do you think people are happy about midterm access? And some of you are here, you're so happy, you can't wait, but really, you don't need that money right now. It can stay in the fund. So withdraw options. You can get all of it at once. So I get all the 300 million. You have to be very smart to invest it wisely. Or you can say, I'm going to look at the options. So first of all, what's the best time to withdraw? How much do I need to withdraw? How much am I going to live off of? How much am I going to invest? Those are very, very important questions. What's the best time to withdraw? Are you going to take early retirement? Or are you going to keep working? Maybe be self-employed. I remember a friend of mine who told me, guess what? My 50th birthday is coming. I'm going to get early retirement. On that day, I'll wear my best dress. I will drive from my house and I'm going to go and knock on the door of this Provident Fund provider and I'm going to say, show me my money. Maybe she doesn't need the money right then. So withdrawal. First, do not withdraw prematurely. There's what we call portability of pensions. Pensions are portable. I'm going to tell you, when I worked in Alexander Forbes, this is what I was seeing, especially among bankers. Someone saves for a short time, gets a job in another bank, withdraws that money and uses it. And I used to ask people at Alexander Forbes, I say, what do most people use their money for? And they say the bankers buy cars. So you arrive at your next banking job with a new car. A new car? You guys called it a purchase. You see, I have caught you. You called it a purchase. You withdraw all the money you've saved in that Provident Fund for 3 years. Prematurely, you're not in retirement. Instead of preserving it and moving it to the next retirement fund. So withdraw options. Actuaries and analysts say withdraw 4% each year. 4%. Do you know 4%? It's not much. But because they are looking and saying, if you're going to live for 20 years, you cannot be withdrawing 100%. Take the income drawdown option, leave your money invested in the fund because it's getting a return. And each year you get 4%, 4%, 4%. If you're a couple, women live longer than men. There's research to support that. So the likelihood that you're going to be a widow is high. So if you're a couple, imagine, and these days people just marry each other, age mates. You're all now eligible for retirement. You all go and draw. You all become excited. You all go to Dubai. You all become poor after 2 years. Bad strategy. So one couple, one spouse can draw first, preferably the male, and then the other remains invested in the fund. Then afterwards, imagine if you're doing a 4% and you're using a strategy like that. Otherwise, you can delay withdrawal if you have alternative income. Now, for some people, they invest the principal and live off of the interest. I know people who have done this and it works. They get the money, they invest, maybe in a treasury bill or bond, in a bond, and then they're only living off the interest of the bond. They're using that 4% rule. So what was our first principle? Can I have someone putting it in the chat for me so that I can see that you're following? Our first principle, anybody put it in the chat. I want to see that you're following this. This is a very important discussion. Confidence comes from knowledge. Confidence on investments comes from knowledge. Confidence on how you'll retire comes from knowledge. So we want to set goals, retirement goals, investment goals. We want to make sure that we have set our goals. Thank you very much, Lydia, for that. The next thing we want to do is we want to manage risk. Risk is everywhere, but particularly when it comes to investments. I remember my friend Dunstan Kisule saying some people are like submarines. When they're going to invest, they just go down like this. And they say, you wait, my thing is going to come out. when they come out, disaster. Submarine mentality. So how do we deal with risk? When it comes to risk, of course, real estate normally retains monetary value. I've been to Zimbabwe a number of times. I've done work for the pensions regulator in Zimbabwe, IPEC. What happened in Zimbabwe is when the economy was collapsing in Zimbabwe, people started moving money into real estate, including pension funds, in order to maintain the monetary value. So if you're looking at inflation, you're looking at long-term, what's going to happen, real estate is a good option. Market risk, of course, there are no controls. Shares go up and down. So you'll always be subject to market risk. Interest rate risk is also there. If you're investing, for example, in what we call a CIS fund, and I'll tell you more about that, the income fund gives a fixed rate of return. Most funds are about 10%. There's also tax risk, because taxes can change due to government legislation. And then we also have legal risk. This can also happen in real estate. If you have property, something can happen. So you have to look at the relationship between risk and reward. The higher the risk, the more the reward. So most people go for the high risk because of the high return that they are going to get. If you're younger, you're in accumulation phase, you may invest in shares, for example, because you know that, yes, it's risky, share prices go up and down, but the reward is also good because equities will outperform most asset classes. So what's that relationship between risk and reward? Are you going to stay safe, or are you going to go for more risky investments? If you look at asset allocation, stocks, more risky, bonds, safe. So people in preservation phase, if you buy a bond from government, the probability that government will default is very, very low. Some governments have defaulted in the past. I think Argentina is one of them. But government, the risk associated with lending to government is very low. That's why they call them low-risk investments. So now the government of Uganda has introduced the longer-term bonds, 20-year bonds. It means if I'm saving for a child's education and it's a toddler, I can buy a 20-year bond, because I know that the government has the ability to pay. Real estate, I've said something about that. And then cash. Someone says, if you want to keep your money safe and watch it double, what do? Fold it. Fold it in your pocket and see. That's cash. So when it comes to risk mitigation, get more knowledge on your investment. Don't reinvent the wheel. People have invested in the asset you're investing in. Whether it's farming, a business, people have invested in it. So get more knowledge on it. Use financial advisors. People with low financial literacy don't get advice from financial advisors. They get it from friends and family. And that's a research that was done in Uganda, that people with low financial literacy, they get advice from their friends. What do you think of MTN shares? Instead of going to a licensed financial advisor for your reading social media. Typical of people with low financial literacy. They get financial advice on investments from friends and family. Your family members are broke, but they're the ones advising you on how to use your money. And of course, risk mitigation can be achieved through diversifying your investments. So we said you need to set goals, okay? You have to mitigate risk, and then you have to consider where you're saving for retirement. At the end of the day, it's really about the yield. It's about the return. It's an investment. So when it comes to returns, I've told you about money. You want to put it in your pocket, fold it over once and put it in your pocket, you're going to safely double it. There's nothing like doubling if you're going to be just in cash. Liquidity is going to be high. You're going to have, if you're in the money market funds, you'll have low risk, obviously. You'll also have low returns. If you're in money markets and you're in decumulation or preservation phase, totally understood. Why? You're preserving what you've accumulated. Interest rates can be competitive, so you have to do your research. What's the rate of a fixed deposit in Citibank, in this bank, in this bank, in this bank, before you put your money? Treasury bills, of course, Uganda has good rates. Savings accounts, what are you getting out of it? But there'll be low return because your risk is low, okay? If you're going to go into the capital markets, we have what we call collective investment schemes. If you can go to the CMA website, just put in CMA Uganda, look at the licensed persons, you can get to know the different funds. We have income funds, equity funds. The equity funds invest in shares or stock markets. It's a little bit more risky. So the people in accumulation phase, you're young, you can wait, you can invest in them. Collective investment schemes also have income funds. Here they invest in bonds and high yield investments. So here you get professional management. CMA licenses these people and they provide oversight. But you can also get diversification because you have different types of funds, and you can also get liquidity. So it's a good thing to think about. Real estate, you can go directly to buy real estate, or you can go via what we now call REITs, real estate investment trusts. These are more common in Nairobi. They have some REITs that are trading on the exchange. So here, instead of going to buy property, like an office building, you buy a share in the property, symbolized by a REIT. Then we also want to leverage on tax benefits. This is very important. I always ask people, why don't you put your money in a pension scheme? In a pension scheme, your lump sum is exempt. The investment income that is made by the provider, by the operator, by the fund itself, that investment income is what is taxed. Employee contributions are taxed into the fund, but employer contributions are tax deductible. So you're in HR. Can't you structure your pension fund in order to leverage on tax benefits? You can, and this is under the Income Tax Act. It's purely legal. You can do additional voluntary contributions into a fund, and when you get it out, it's exempt. If you're contributing into a CIS fund, the income of the fund is tax exempt, so that's very good, but withholding tax will apply when you receive it. So I'm wrapping up right now, Lydia. In terms of wrap up, what can I tell you? It's been a long story, long journey on investments and building your confidence. But these are the things I want you to take away. Very simple. Have a long-term perspective. People want deals on investment now. Now. If anyone pressures you to make an investment decision now, refrain. The longer your perspective, the better. Do not design your strategy to fit your investment choice. Let it be the other way around. First, sit down, think about why you're investing, put your strategy together, and then think long-term. What are my long-term goals? Where do I want to live in retirement? What are my medical conditions? Some people have medical issues. Already, you know that when they show you what's happening in your scheme, you're the one using up all the money in the scheme. You have to put away more. So have a long-term perspective. Ask the experts. Ask the experts. CMA licenses, investment advisors, have a chat. Brokers, have a chat. CIS operators, have a chat. All these people will make presentations to you at no cost so that they give you knowledge and so that you know what to do. Look at that time that is required to run your investment. You work in a bank full time, you own a saloon, really. Who's going to supervise that saloon? You own a restaurant. Maybe you should be in passive investment, buying bonds. So what's that time that you're going to put in? Have a strategy. A simple one, not complex. Investment is not complex. Have a strategy. This is my strategy. Keep it simple. A lot of people now are in this whole thing of cryptocurrency, blockchain. In fact, some of you were even going to ask the question. Tell us about investment in blockchain and cryptocurrency. Do you understand blockchain and cryptocurrency? You've not even got a bond, a 2-year bond, but you want to be in Forex trading, cryptocurrency, all the difficult things that it takes a while to understand. Keep it simple. If you can't explain your investment to your wife, to your brother, to your sister, to your child, it's too complex. That's not the way it's supposed to be. You should be able to understand. And a lot of fraud comes from people who want to do complex instruments that they don't understand. And that's why we had the mortgage-backed securities and the global financial crisis and the collapse of Lehman Brothers. Keep it simple. And then there's no free lunch. No free lunch. Anyone who tells you that they're going to bring your money, then we shall invest it for you, then after a while, this is where circles, the gifting, you remember those gifting circles, it's from here. There's no free lunch. If you're putting your money with a professional, you'll pay management fees. There's nothing like no interest. I mean, no expenses. There's no free lunch. If you're going to put your money somewhere, you're going to put in time, effort, you're going to monitor it. If someone is doing it for you, there's a cost attached to it. What is that cost? What's their management fee? That's very, very important. And then you diversify. Try bonds, try different instruments that are out there in the market. So thank you very much, Lydia.
Oh my God, Miriam, I think this ended much sooner than I'd have loved it to. I was really, really enjoying it, and then it just came to a close. And I can't believe how simple things can be. Things that we always think are very complicated, you just broke them down and built our confidence. To be honest, we can now proceed with confidence. Ladies and gentlemen, this was Miriam's talk. I cannot add, I cannot subtract without spoiling.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miriam. The strategies, the tips, the real life experiences that you have lived, we are really, really grateful. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to open this up. I'd like to open this up for you to discuss, to share your insights, your takeaways, your questions. We have all the time, and we have Miriam with us. So feel free to drop a question. I can see a lot of compliments. Wow, wow, that says it. Thank you, Shiba. Wonderful, excellent presentation from Sarah, by Sarah. Wow, wow, wow. I have been super blessed. Thanks a lot, Miriam. I have learned and ready for action. That is Millie. Francis, thanks to Miriam. Sarah talks about NSSF. I think that's in the line of investment, pension funds and all. And how do we link up with Miriam? This is from Patrice Ochongi Roth. How do we connect to experience this rich, rich knowledge? Patrice, you are in the right webinar. George says it is so well put. Everybody's just saying, thank you, Miriam, for the great job. I must say, Jack is also saying, thanks, Miriam, for the great job. Jack. Miriam, you know. Oh, God. Also, Daisy says, thank you very much. Raymond is also thanking you very much. Oh, Lydia is thanking you. Very nice presentation. Miriam, those are all compliments from us, our listeners. It was so clear that nobody even wants to ask, lest you say a different word from the one you used to express it so clearly. We are really grateful. Dear listeners, participants, this will be shared. We always share the recording and the slides. I'm sure that we already have your contacts, but if you think you're not on our emailing list, please drop your email in the chat so that when we share this, you have an extra dose and maybe even share. We have lots of thoughts. No questions. That is from Millie. Thank you so much, Miriam. You've really blessed us. This was a perfect evening date, to be honest. If any of us canceled a soda, a beer somewhere, I think this was more satisfying. We're really, really grateful. We're going to proceed with confidence in our investments. Ladies and gentlemen, there is more tomorrow. Don't forget to join in our remaining seminars of this week. Tomorrow, Friday, 26th November, we shall have understanding insurance, savings, and investment plans. More investment ideas. That will be Mr. Michael Kalule speaking to us. And then later in the evening at 6 p.m., we shall talk about retirement again. How do you set realistic retirement goals? We shall have Ms. Joanne Mugenzi, certified coach, author of Corporates at a Crossroads. Some of you have read it. She will be giving us ideas how to set realistic retirement goals. Remember, principle number 1 from today's presentation, set goals. Now we're going to be asking ourselves, how do you make those goals realistic? So tune in tomorrow again. The link is the same. It's going to be wonderful. I want to thank very much our sponsors. I want to thank very much our organizers, Institute of Bankers. Thank you very much for making this happen, for mobilizing us, and for coordinating this. Don't forget to visit our web portal, www.yourmoneycan.org. Go, there's a lot of information that you can get from there. All our sponsors, all our supporters, all the stakeholders involved in this, thank you, thank you, thank you. A post poll is running. Please share with us your views very quickly as we wind up, and so that we get impressions and insights on how to continuously improve this. So please do your poll, just a few questions, and then we'll call it an evening. Thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. The poll is on. Thank you. Okay, let me wish you all a very nice evening. It was very nice interacting with you today. Be blessed and go forth with confidence as you plan to invest for your retirement. Thank you so much for your company. God bless you.